Now broadcasting from his hidden bunker and fully stocked bar, it is the Saturday Report with Colt Sebastian Taylor.
Thank you and welcome once again, my friends, to the Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor, adventurer, entrepreneur, and amateur flag football referee. And welcome to AWSM Radio, an independent, digital-only radio station that plays today's best music, old school classics, along with a rotating cast of all-star DJs. AWSM Radio focuses on mainstream artists, independent artists, along with an interesting variety of talk and music shows throughout the day, such as mine. All we do is entertain, inspire, and inform. And my friends, I want to engage with you, and I want you to be part of the conversation. So, find me on the Twitter, the Instagram, and the Rizzle at Colt S. Taylor, and catch up on everything that I'm doing, all the new things, all the new adventures I am engaged with at ColtSebastianTaylor.com. It should be bookmarked in every household. Well, my friends, it's now March. Yes, we made it. March 2021. We're here, the third month of the year and whatnot. And for me, it's somewhat of an interesting milestone because this weekend marks, for me, 12 months. 12 months since the last time I performed a show, because I do live shows from time to time. A live show in front of a studio audience, a live in-person audience in a theater in the great city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. And it's been 12 months since there was the last live show in Philadelphia and in many areas, actually. Things turned quite quickly this time last year, and it's been a very long 12 months. But my friends, a lot of interesting things have happened. I am now joining you here on AWSM Radio, week in and week out, every weekend, as it were. And so I'm just thinking about how much I do miss being in front of people. 12 months is a very long time, but there's new vaccines out. Johnson & Johnson, each Johnson brother apparently has been working on a vaccine, and hopefully, my friends, we are getting towards the end of our prolonged isolation, and we'll soon be wishing we could go home early because we're tired of talking to people in person soon. I'm sure it'll take everyone will be really happy to see people for a week, and then week 2, they'll be like, yeah, I think I've had enough. Yeah, I'm just gonna go home and just be by myself. You really can't use "I'm not feeling well" as an excuse anymore. At least I think that's probably have another 6 to 8 month moratorium before you can do that. But anyways, my friends, just wanted to denote that. I actually do have a really sort of funny story to tell you, but I will tell you that next week, because next week is sort of the anniversary of when things went, ooh, we're going to be a while. But anyways, a slight detour there, but we are now ready to get started with today's Saturday Report. First up, my friends, a Saturday Report update. Last week, I brought you a story about Lady Gaga. 2 of her 3 French bulldogs were kidnapped in a violent incident in which her dog walker was shot 4 times. At the time of my reporting, the dogs were missing, and he didn't look like he was doing too well in the hospital. But just as I was broadcasting last week, the news came across my desk that there was an update, but the update did not come to me in time for me to update my story to you. So I'm bringing it to you now. You may have heard, hooray, her dogs have been found. Her 2 French bulldogs were found by a woman. There wasn't really much details on how she found them, but police are confident that this person was unrelated to the kidnapping and attempted murder. Which brings me to the other guy, Ryan, the professional dog walker. He is recovering. He didn't look too good last week, but he has made dramatic improvements. In fact, he posted an Instagram update, and I was read for you here. It says, "I am still in recovery from a very close call with death, and I've kept myself, for the most part, I'm human, from the growing media story. I will write and say more later, but the gratitude for all the love I feel and support, thank you. I'm humbled and grateful for the attention and focus from police were enough to get Koji and Gustav back safely, and I know they are committed to bringing these criminals and attempted murderers to justice. I'm so appreciative of everything you continue to do." And it goes on a bit, thanking his friends for the calls and the morbid jokes, thanking Lady Gaga for her support, so he's doing okay. He is recovering. Still has a long way to go. Yeah, he really just don't walk off being shot 4 times, whatnot. You just can't rub dirt into it. So, but the good news is the dogs are back. The good news is the dog walker is going to survive this incident. The folks that did this are still at large. There isn't, from what I've read, a whole lot of information about exactly why this happened, whether it was targeted or random. But yeah, so I'll keep an eye on this, see what's going on with the Lady Gaga dog napping story. It could easily be random, but I don't know, something about this smells like dog vomit to me, my friends. That there's something a little more sinister to this than meets the eye. But I will follow this story closely for you. In other celebrity news, Will Smith, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Jim West, Desperata, the savior of the planet Earth on Independence Day, and that one time he crashed on the planet with his son, and then the son had an adventure, and that it was a great movie. I didn't actually watch it. But Will Smith, on a recent podcast, Pod Save America, did not rule out running for president at, quote, some point down the line. They were discussing the 14th Amendment, and he said, I think for now I will let that office get cleaned up a little bit, and then I'll consider that some point down the line. He mentioned that, if Ronald Reagan could do it, if you may not remember, Ronald Reagan was a Hollywood actor for many years before he ran for governor of California and then became president of the United States in the 1980s. He felt like if Ronald Reagan can do it, why can't Will Smith? Obviously, he would have the Bel Air and Philadelphia vote stamped up pretty well. Will Smith is also not the only person recently to sort of make some waves as a celebrity considering to run for president. Dwayne Johnson, also known as The Rock, also said something to the similar effect that he would rule it out. Maybe he would down the line. As you know, I was covering Kanye West running for president. If either one, Will Smith or The Rock, ran for president, one would think that they would not do it on an independent line like Kanye West did, but they would probably seek a nomination from one of the two major political parties, most likely the Democratic Party. It's just hard to run as an independent. I mean, Kanye West did it. Granted, he showed up to the party after the party was halfway over, but even then, very, very hard to be a third party and make an impact where you have a chance of actually winning. I mean, Ross Perot gave it a whirl in 1992, and he didn't win any states whatsoever. And that was the best a third party had done in over, maybe the 60s, the 50s or 60s. So that's a discussion for a completely different radio show. But anyways, Will Smith might be running for president. Smith Johnson 2024, Johnson Smith 2024. Hey, not a terrible idea. I mean, The Rock, The Fresh Prince. I think the commercials will be very interesting. I mean, how could you, if anyone decides to have an attack ad against Dwayne Johnson, rock bottom. Boom. End of story. So we'll see what happens. Still a long ways off. It's 2020. Where are we? 2021 right now. So that means we'll probably start seeing presidential candidates in 3 or 4 weeks because, boy, it's just like the holiday shopping season. It comes earlier every single year, folks. However, much like today's mail system, not all letters got to people. And scientists came across this chest of undelivered mail from The Hague in the Netherlands. Letters sent between 1689 and 1706. There were 577 locked letters. Letters that I guess they couldn't deliver, so they threw in the trunk, closed the trunk, and then opened the trunk a few hundred years later. And they're curious of what are in these letters. I mean, they did not want to open them because the paper is over 300 years old. It would just crack and fall away and destroy the letters. And so they've had this challenge of how do they see what's inside these letters. They can't really open them anymore because they're locked. And if they try to unlock them, they're afraid they're going to destroy them. Well, the answer came in the form of a high-powered, sensitive X-ray scanner. And obviously a supercomputer that X-rayed the letter from every angle, and then computer virtually opened and unfolded the letter, and they were able to read what was inside the letter without opening up the letter, which is pretty amazing. Now, scientists are very curious about this because, these letters aren't written by foreign dignitaries, kings, dukes, and prime ministers, great generals, famous artists. These are just everyday folks like you and me writing letters back and forth in the late 1600s, early 1700s. So they took one letter and they opened it. And I want to read it for you because I think it's really interesting that this was written by somebody over 300 years ago. It never got to the person and whatnot. I'm sure the person wrote a letter like, hey, why didn't you write me back? But the letter that they opened said, "Dear Sir and Cousin, it has been a few weeks since I wrote you in order to ask you to have drawn up for me a legalized expert of the death of Sir Daniel Lepers, which took place in The Hague in the month of December 1695 without hearing from you. This is," and they couldn't read what it said, "I write you a second time in order to remind you of the pains that I took on your behalf. It is important to me to have this extract you. Will do me great pleasure to procure it for me. Send me at the same time news of your health and all of your family. I pray that God maintains you in his saintly graces and covers you with the blessings necessary to your salvation. Nothing more for the time being, except that I pray you to believe that I am completely, sir and cousin, your most humble and obedient servant, Jacques Zenjacques," whatnot. So, obviously, Jacques here, writing his cousin a second time, because the first time I'm getting back to him, and given this letter was never delivered, boy, Jacques must thought that his cousin was a real jerk for not writing him 2 times and whatnot, and he probably had to go all the way down there to speak to him. But those are just everyday things that people needed. This guy needed some sort of documentation, and hoped his family, his cousin, was well. A lot of those letters often ended back there with humble, maintains your graces and blessings and whatnot. So today we're a little bit less formal with that. Most of my letters do not end with, "I pray God maintains you in his saintly graces and covers you with blessings necessary to your salvation." Most of my letters just end with, "Thanks, Colt Sebastian Taylor." Anyway, listen, not as graceful or rosy, but you know what? Get to the point. Thanks, Colt Sebastian Taylor. So that, I think, is amazing that we have X-rays that can look inside letters. I mean, let's be honest. I'm pretty sure the CIA can X-ray a letter and open it and read it on the inside. This technology probably isn't brand new, but it's probably been refined to be able to look at old paper and then unfold a folded note that's folded like 10 or 15 times and is locked tight for 300 years. to be able to open it and and be able to figure out where the ink goes on what pieces of paper as it's being unfolded to read the letter. That is some crazy science stuff that I wanted to bring to you. Keeping in the world of science, this week there were some geological events in the Pacific Ocean area. First, in Indonesia, Sinabung volcano erupted, shooting ash 16,000 feet into the air. Indonesia has quite a few active volcanoes. I believe they have like over 100 in the quote-unquote Ring of Fire, which is a ring of active volcanoes and fault lines circling the Pacific Ocean. Indonesia has 120 active volcanoes. All of the active volcanoes in the United States. Yes, we have some volcanoes, folks, on the West Coast. They're part of the Ring of Fire as well. This had a very dramatic video of this volcano erupting. Fortunately, scientists have been sort of monitoring this volcano for quite a while. They evacuated 30,000 people around it. The volcano ashes not expected to impact any flights in the area. Indonesia is also the home of another volcano, Krakatoa, I believe it is, that had a massive eruption in the 1800s, like between, let's just say 1812, around then, 1812, 1815, sent up so much ash into the air that it impacted world temperatures for the entire year. It was known as the year without a summer in the United States, where there were a lot of crop failures in the early part of the country. It snowed in June in some places in the United States. Temperatures really didn't get above where they usually get during the summer. Had a terrible winter. There was reported just sort of a haze, a sun haze, very hazy sun throughout the entire year. Very terrible winter in Europe and whatnot, all because of this volcano in Indonesia, really blew up. So they still monitor that volcano today. They consider it a super volcano. But don't worry, folks. We're fine. No super volcano on the horizon. Knock on wood. It is 2021. In other geological news, there were several earthquakes in just off the coast of New Zealand. One being over an 8.0 that caused a tsunami in New Zealand. Nothing as severe as what we saw in Japan several years ago, but enough that they evacuated parts of the island. An earthquake that was large enough that a tsunami warning was issued for America Samoa, and a tsunami watch was issued for Hawaii before it was eventually canceled. Because it takes them a little while to figure out, is this going to be this is big enough to cause a tsunami? Will a tsunami hit this island? But they also, tsunamis do not travel at the speed of earthquakes. So a major earthquake in New Zealand, if it was going to cause a tsunami in Hawaii, would get there 6 to 8 hours later. So, give them plenty of time to figure out, do their math and science to figure out if that is going to be a thing. But a tsunami did impact the northern island of New Zealand. Footage of water rushing into marinas and flooding out parking lots. Again, New Zealand has a very good warning system, and everyone evacuated. It was during the day, so they sort of watched from the mountains as the water rushed in. Some damage, but nothing too terrible from what I've read and whatnot. However, the funniest thing as funny as earthquakes are, is I saw this on Twitter, and it says typical Kiwi reaction. Someone down in New Zealand writing this, and it was this guy without a shirt, and I'm not going to do the accent because I do not do New Zealand accents justice. But he said basically, I woke up this morning shaking back and forth, and so I ran outside naked saying, "Hey, who's shaking my camper?" But it turns out it was an earthquake, so that was something new and exciting. So I put pants back on and went back to sleep. Laugh, laugh, laugh. And apparently, that's pretty much how New Zealanders are. But you have to look it up, because I had to watch it 3 or 4 times because the guy did not take a whole lot of spaces between his words. He just sort of rambled on, and I guess they talk real fast down there, I guess. I don't know. I'd love to visit someday. So, I'm looking at the AWSM radio chief. Can you send me to New Zealand? No? Well, it was worth asking. But anyways, I hope all of my friends and listeners in New Zealand and Indonesia are okay and safe and healthy and avoiding various dangers of the Ring of Fire. We now go from the Ring of Fire to Who's on Fire, and that's my pal DC. Yes, he's on fire every week here on AWSM Radio with his show DC Live in Effect, and he is our in-house DJ, and he mixes it up. He's practically on fire. Every Friday night at 9 p.m., every Sunday at 10 p.m. You do not want to miss out while he smashes it on the ones and twos, kicking the beats from South Florida every week. His beats that he kicks are so hard. It's sometimes, and I am not lying. I'm not lying. You may think I'm not even embellishing. It triggers tsunami sensors. They think there's a tsunami is coming because of these beats, but no. It's just my pal DC. He's just rocking it down there in South Florida. And I'm sure the authorities will catch up with him one of these days for triggering all these false tsunami alarms. But it's just a tsunami of amazing music with his show, DC Live in Effect, right here on AWSM Radio, Fridays at 9 p.m. and Sundays at 10 p.m. Moving on to food, specifically candy. Reese's, yes. Reese's Cups. You know that delicious taste, Reese's, the peanut butter inside, a little chocolate cup. Well, there's coming out between April and August a chocolate-less Reese's Cup. Peanut butter inside a peanut butter flavored cup. Yes, my friends, we live in amazing times. They've figured out how to do it. Scientists have been hard at work, but basically they are going to make a Reese's Cup without chocolate. So inside a Reese's Cup, you have the typical, peanut butter filling, and on the outside, instead of chocolate, they will have a peanut butter flavored shell that will contain the normal Reese's peanut butter. They said it's a nicer experience than eating out of a peanut butter jar, the Reese's brand manager said at the Hershey Company. So the TV spot says two great tastes that taste great together, still perfect. So that's coming out. I love Reese's peanut butter, so I'm definitely going to try it. Maybe I'll get some and I'll try it live on the air here and give you my impression of it. Although the sounds of me eating a Reese's Cup, I don't know if that's, I don't know I don't know if we have a lot of mukbang. Is that the term, mukbang? There's a term of folks who like to watch other people eat stuff and listen to them. I think it's called mukbang. I don't know if I have a big mukbang following here on my show, but I may do that in the future. Reese's Cups have been around since 1928, created by Harry Burnett Reese's, as a candy maker who worked at the Hershey's factory. Decades later, Hershey's acquired Reese's, making it a valuable brand in its chocolate-making empire. The Hershey Company itself was created by Milton Hershey, entrepreneur from the great state, or the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. In fact, there's an amusement park based around his chocolate factory called Hershey Park. Today is a $21 billion company and one of the largest candy makers in the world. It has many brands, including Jolly Rancher, Kit Kat. If you ever been to Pennsylvania, I highly recommend going to Hershey Park. You can ride rides. You can take a tour of the Hershey Chocolate Factory. And then just down the road, my friends, Hershey Spa and Resort, where you can really just pamper yourself, get chocolate scrubs and facials, and I've been there once. It was fantastic. And also, speaking of Hershey, Milton Hershey opened up a school for orphans. Had an orphanage there. Took in a lot of children and helped them, educate them, and send them off in the world. And 99% sure it's still operating today. So if you want to just dive down into the rabbit hole and learn more about Milton Hershey, he was a very interesting person here in Pennsylvania. And be that I live close to Hershey, Pennsylvania, I do know more than the average bear, so to speak. But anyways, going back to the important part of the story, not the orphans, not the spa, not the roller coasters, peanut butter Reese Cups inside a peanut butter cup. Looking forward to trying those out. Yeah, those sound really, really good. So stay tuned, friends. I'll be back sometime in a future episode with my review of these new peanut butter Reese Cups inside a peanut butter cup. Next up, my friends, Dr. Seuss. Yes, Dr. Seuss, Cat in the Hat. You may have heard that he was in the news again this week. Maybe you thought he was back from the dead. They cloned him. But no, if you read some news sources or if you listen to your very crazy aunt or uncle, Dr. Seuss is being arrested and thrown into Gitmo, and all of his books will be banned and burned and sent into space, never to be read again. Needless to say, that's not exactly what's going on. So you can just sort of right-click on that Facebook post, select mute, so you don't need to see any more of that more nonsense. Here's what actually is going on, friend, just so you're more educated out there in the world and can help others who are freaking out over something that they just shouldn't be freaking out about. So, 6 books of the Dr. Seuss library of creations are no longer being published by the company that controls the rights of these Dr. Seuss books. Why, you ask? Well, they haven't aged well over time, and some of the images in there depict somewhat insensitive and racist depictions of other people in the world as drawn at that time. Very common to draw folks like that from Asia and Africa a certain way back in the 40s and 50s and 60s, and they're just not acceptable anymore. And so they've decided not to print these books anymore, and a lot of these books have been taken out of libraries because they're just not acceptable anymore to have them there. And that's it. That's it, folks. Okay, that's it. The Dr. Seuss people, they are a private company. It is their intellectual property. It's their books which they can decide to or not to publish. They have made a business decision, okay? So, much like everything in this world, I don't want to break it to you. I know I'm shattering some bubbles here. A lot of things in the world are determined by how much money you can make off of it. And if something is sort of impacting other things in terms of making your money, or could impact those things, well, guess what? That thing usually gets dropped. That's why there's not circuses anymore. It became no longer profitable with all the people upset with how animals are being treated. They were not being treated very well, but that was ignored for years and years and years. But now that people are paying attention to it, they have problems with it. It's no longer profitable doing circuses. So circuses with animals, they are no more. You just have this Cirque du Soleil. You have people with trampolines and trapeze artists and things like that. But anyways, so there's all the other Dr. Seuss books are still around. Just these 6, they have decided no longer to publish because it's just the way certain folks are being drawn in there, you just can't do that anymore, and so they're no longer being published. So just so you know, Dr. Seuss was born March 2nd. He was born this week in 1904, passed away in 1991. Many of his books remain popular. Read Across America is aligned with his birthday. But over the years, they've sort of de-emphasized Dr. Seuss. So Dr. Seuss isn't as big as a part of Read Across America Day. And not because of this. A lot of people are saying Dr. Seuss is being canceled. Dr. Seuss is not being canceled. Calm down, all right? I know everyone feels very strongly about this. Some folks love to point out they're being canceled, but not being canceled, but there are more books in the world than Dr. Seuss, okay? So, educators want you to read more than just green eggs and ham, okay? So, while very important to reading, especially those in young ages, Read Across America is now trying to focus on more diverse, robust group of literature and whatnot. And so those two things are not even exactly related. Okay, Read Across America Day was March 2nd, Dutch's birthday in 1998, less than a decade after he had passed away. So that was they decided to do that. Now they're moving on. These book titles, which were fine or accepted in 40s and 50s, culture has moved on. That's why we don't have circuses. That's why you don't see, Bob Hope in blackface anymore, okay? You can't do that anymore. That's the way culture moves. And this is what happened with Dr. Seuss. So, a little about my soapbox there because I just thought I was reading just ridiculous things online of people who just upset but had no idea why they're upset, and other people who are upset because they think they can make $5, $10, $20 off of other people with fundraising emails and whatnot, and using Dr. Seuss to raise money to fund super PACs is just, could you get any more despicable? Could you get any more low? I'm going to use Cat in the Hat to raise money so I can get reelected for office. Wow. So what exactly did your soul leave your body, sir? Was that like a all at once thing, or did little pieces get chipped off over time? Wow, sorry. I think that's the most animated I've ever been on the show. I got really irritated by this story. And let's bring it to you, my friends. Whew, all right. I need a stiff drink, but not now, because there's no such thing as just one Colt Sebastian Taylor stiff drink. It's either no stiff drinks or all the stiff drinks I can get. And I still have a show to do. I can't be slurring my way into hour 3, losing track of time. Okay, let's go to a more lighthearted story. Nike's vice president and general manager, Ann Herbert, resigned this week. No, she's not moving on to bigger, better things. She's not retiring. Turns out her son, Joe, has been using her credit card in her name to buy sneakers for the resale business. Apparently sneakers, I do not understand why. They're a big business, limited edition sneakers and whatnot, or sneakers that are going out of fashion or no longer being made anymore. It's a very big resale business. Well, anyways, this kid was using his mother's credit card and some inside information to buy up warehouses full of sneakers and reselling them at 2 or 3 times their worth, making like hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. Spending $100,000 a month on his mother's credit card and buying these limited edition shoes before flipping them for profit. He often would seemingly, magically know that when certain shoes were no longer being made, that increasing their value because, his mother was in charge of that sort of stuff. He even had a paid private chat room where you could pay $350 a month, $350 a month to get tips about what shoes are going to be very valuable next month, so you could go buy them up and then sell them at a profit. The guy was making millions of dollars. A 19-year-old making millions of dollars off of this, had garages full of cars, stacks of money. He would take pictures of himself on Instagram surrounded by, $30,000 worth of shoes that he would sell. And this was going on for at least a year, maybe longer. But here's the thing. And this is very perfect for a 19-year-old. You probably think, well, geez, the company must have caught on to this. No. Oh, well, obviously somebody tracked this kid down, saw him that he lives with his mother, a Nike executive. No. Okay, well, sure. Maybe it was a sting operation. Like, maybe the Reebok people, like, well, we don't like any of this, or a government sting operation for inside knowledge. No. The person who took down Joe was Joe himself. So basically this 19-year-old felt like he wasn't getting enough credit about how amazing he was doing in terms of making money off of these shoes, and so insisted on giving an interview to somebody and then talking to them again and again and again in the interview, where it's like, this guy's really good at this. I wonder if there's a little bit more to this than meets the eye. And then sort of tracked down what was going on, and then discovered that his mother works for Nike. So now that she has resigned, I'm going to have to guess here that Joe isn't going to be making as much money as he has in the past. So I certainly hope he puts some away from college, or that he didn't buy too many cars, because I feel like his sort of inside track of what sneakers will no longer be available or no longer be produced may dry up. His $350 a month private chat group may see some non-renewals of that membership. And just to go to show you, friends, let me just give you some humble advice from your favorite redhead, your favorite adventurer here. If you got a good thing going, if you got a good angle, if you're making good money doing something, I mean, what he did here really isn't technically illegal, very unethical. But if you have a good thing going, if you're making your money, if you have just, a harem of lovers and whatnot, keep your mouth shut. Holy moly, just shut up. Shut up. Just shut up. Don't talk about it. Don't brag about it. Because you're going to ruin it for yourself. Either A, folks will be upset about it, and then what you're doing is no longer going to be tenable, or B, someone's going to figure out how to do it also and take it away from you. So, my advice to you, my friends, your old pal, Colt Sebastian Taylor, if you have something that's working well for you, that you're making money off of, you're happy, you've got the angle, you can do something that other people can't do because you know how to, shut up. Don't talk about it. My God, like this guy blew. This guy could have done this forever. He could have done it forever, really, until his mom retired. But he blew it. So, good luck, Joe. I hope your warehouse full of sneakers gets you as far as you need to get before you find your next entrepreneurial opportunity. Now I'll tell you who doesn't need an inside track, because she's inside your phone, inside your online radio every Monday through Friday. That's right, it's my pal Rox with the Rock Sessions. It's a drive time show making sure that your evening commutes home are fun, featuring the hottest, so hot, music on the charts and some surprises in between. She will make it rock style Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., right here on AWSM Radio. She is fantastic. It's a great show, and I'm hoping that after this pandemic stuff is all done, that I'm gonna pop in on her show sometime. Like, sit in, we'll have a discussion, maybe we'll get an argument, whatever happens, what will happen. But she is fantastic. You should really listen to her. Set your alarm Monday through Friday, starting at 5 p.m. so you can listen to the Rock Sessions right here on AWSM Radio. Finally this week, folks, my last story, nice little quick one here. We go to the Amazon, not the force, but the company. They recently updated the app that they have on phones where people can manage their Amazon account and buy things. Originally it was the logo with that little smile arrow. They changed it to a package with some tape, because they send packages to people. So they updated the icon. It happens. A lot of companies do that. But they had to update it again a few days later. Why, you ask? Well, the way the tape came down the side, tape came down the middle, and they went up, down, little triangles. It kind of looked like Hitler's mustache. Yeah, it kind of did. And they got a lot of ooh, come on, guys. So they had to redesign the logo and quickly update it a few days later to sort of avoid that stigma. So remember, folks, quality control. Ask someone else if this looks right. Well, my friends, that just about wraps up this week's Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor. Thank you for joining me today. And remember, you can find me on the Twitter, on the Instagram, and especially on the Rizzle. Download it, join me on there at Colt S. Taylor, and feel free to engage with me. Let me know what you thought about the stories. Is there anything I missed? Is Amazon up to something else that's nefarious? Not a sponsor yet. And I'd love to hear from you. And of course, if you haven't already, bookmark ColtSebastianTaylor.com, where you can listen to past episodes of the Saturday Report, as well, my friends. Keep up to date with all my adventures, including my new sort of gig at Cameo. It's fantastic. Can't believe people are paying me to do some videos for them. But everything you need to see and find is at ColtSebastianTaylor.com. So, until next time, my friends, I am, of course, Colt Sebastian Taylor, and I'll see you later.